Tell you who is scrapping critical race theory in the classroom is Trump's administration. They gave schools until the 28th of February to get rid of all their DEI nonsense, all their critical race indoctrination out of the classroom, or lose their federal funding. Now, what school is going to put up their hands and say, oh, yes, we'll just shut up shop because, we want to keep teaching this nonsense? None of them. But the Trump administration didn't stop there. After February 28th, they've launched just last week an online portal called Getting Rid of DEI, which is for the use of parents, of students, everyone on the ground that will, of course, be the ones aware if schools are not obeying this edict from the federal government. They say, jump online. We want to know what schools are breaking the rules. They literally tell people, if you're using this porthole, describe in as much detail as possible the discriminatory practice taking place. They call these illegal discriminatory practices. They want to identify potential areas for investigation. This is incredible. This portal says the US Department of Education is committed to ensuring all students have access to meaningful learning free of divisive ideologies and indoctrination. So while we've got our Human Rights Commission literally saying you're not shoving this down kids' throats hard enough, you've got the Trump administration saying we're gutting this out of the entire schooling system. And if you break the rules, mum and dads around the country are going to dob you in and you will lose your federal funding.
I love this so much, especially as a parent who's had kids come home from school with books where they've got a picture of an Indigenous person under a tree looking incredibly happy, and then beside that there's a picture of a modern city and there's smoke coming out of factory stacks and the implication clearly is that Australia was this idyllic paradise until white people arrived with their industrial revolution, and your kids are getting bombarded with that right from an early age. To now, my kids are in university, and we had that story just the other night about Macquarie University, where young people are being taught that if they're not Indigenous, they're a settler and a guest in this country. And you've got lecturers starting the semester by telling students, if you address me by female pronouns, though I am a female, I will ignore you. So it's rammed down kids' throats continually. Parents in this country, you complain, it falls on deaf ears, but in the United States now you can make a legitimate complaint and the Education Department will listen and do something about it.
And I'm sure those books your sons were sent home with were made by modern printers and then modern binders and all this sort of, modern technology that then allows us to read books about how it was such an idyllic lifestyle before the white man rocked up. By the by. But I think it's fantastic. They should call it the DID, dobbing division, and expand it from, beyond schools to everywhere, right? Every time you see DEI, report it to the government and then they can go in and do something about it. I do wish that perhaps it would lob in my emails first so that we've got the stories here to do first before everyone else gets onto them. But that's sort of been your only outlet thus far, right? If there's something going on in a school or there's something going on that you think is dodgy in terms of DEI, that the only way you could do anything about it was to go to the media and get a journalist to report on the story and then hope they created enough of a groundswell for something to be done. Now you've got a government that is proactively wanting to do things. They're saying, look, if you see it, tell us. It's a bit like the cops. So if you see something, if you hear something, say something. And they're applying exactly the same logic here. And so it should be, because the parents are the eyes and the ears of the schools. And you can imagine why a department wouldn't know what's going on in every single school everywhere. So unless someone does blow the whistle, these things will just continue to happen. So thank God someone's come up with a way. Who would have thought? The idea of a website where you can go on and say, something's happening at my school, and it goes off to the government. So novel. Why did no one think of this before? Strange, isn't it?